lógico que quieran ganar, pero no pueden, ¿cierto? Veo problema.
In America, we were like, yes, we can. In Chile, they were like, no, you can't.
You gotta love a film that's just titled, No.
No.
Should I go see this? No. No, wait.
No, wait,
I mean,
yes.
I mean, yeah.
No, wait, how do we make this
how do
part of
you
the
do this?
marketing?
Yeah, this is
It's gonna
hard.
be, And that's kind of the central question of this film. How do you do this in the marketing, quite frankly? It's a 2012 Chilean drama directed by Pablo Larraín, starring the great Gael Garcia Bernal, who's definitely, I mean, he's one of those actors that whenever he's in anything, I'm like, they're not always great, but he's such a terrific performer. I'm always like, all right, pay attention.
He's a guy that everybody likes to see.
He should be interesting to watch in
Yes.
this. And sure enough here, where he plays Rene, who is a very popular advertising guy working in Chile in the late 1980s, when he's approached by a group of people that represent the No campaign. Now, what that is after 15 years of military dictatorship, Pinochet, who was the general that was in power, he was basically forced by foreign pressure to allow for an election.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, you're running this country because you stole it.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, the people love me, and to prove that, I will throw up an election.
And I think this guy
and they'll vote for me.
Genuinely believed at first that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And in fact, it very well might have been what had happened. I mean, if not that they loved him so much, but they were just either scared to go out to the polls because, I mean, people would disappear.
Oh, yeah. He was
back.
one of those dictators that was famous for that.
Yeah.
For just, the abuses and
Yeah.
just snatching people and they never come back.
Either that or they were
public
just
beheadings.
apathetic about it because they were like, well, what's the point? Do you honestly think this is going to be a fair election?
Right. Yeah. The idea is like, well, the fix is in, so I don't even know what the point is.
Yeah. And now this was these guys coming to him saying, who seemed on the whole, like, not very politically motivated on the whole. His boss, in fact, works for the Pinochet campaign.
Well, they seem to be like, they're just like, yeah, he's an ad exec or working for a guy, and they're all about just doing their ads, making money.
Yeah.
Marketing. But he gets, Rene gets pulled in by the No campaign people saying like, hey, we thought maybe you could help us put a spin. We have something, I don't know. We feel like it's not working. And what they had was very serious. It really showed you how the people were suffering.
Yeah, it had everything but, what's her name from Archie Bunker on it?
Edith?
No, the daughter.
Oh, Sally Struthers.
Sally Struthers crying and going, if you don't help now. I mean, it was just like all these people dead, these films of people being dragged away, and like nothing about that's untrue, but this film is kind of this weird argument for and possibly a be careful message against the power of marketing to sell almost anything. And in the way this really happened, where this guy and this group used regular, marketing and advertising, the same techniques you'd use to sell soda.
Well, that's what's funny, because it's like a campaign he had to sell soda, a soda called Free, that was like every 80s cliche you could think of.
Yeah.
All just scotch taped together. Even in a way that didn't even make sense. Like, there's even a mime. And one guy, when he's first showing a campaign, goes, what the fuck is a mime doing in this?
Mimes drink soda too, okay?
But he pretty much takes that campaign and goes like, what you guys got, it's too dour, it's ugly. Sure, it's true, but nobody wants to see it. Let me dress it up some. He presents them with his soda commercial version of it, which some of the people are like, what the hell, man? This is serious. If you guys want to do this, that's fine. I'm out.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Moneyball.
Well, true. Yeah. And some people are understandably offended.
Yeah.
But I mean, your gut instinct is to be offended because these are people who are passionate about what they believe in.
Yeah.
And here's this guy putting together this trite, light, people being happy and dancing and singing.
Yes, vote no and everybody will be happy.
Adding a rainbow to the logo. And they're like, what, are you out of your goddamn mind? And the thing is like this guy who I think initially really, like I said, wasn't very politically motivated, ultimately was in this for the challenge more than anything else, it felt like. Slowly comes around to seeing, agreeing with them, like, yeah, this is really important as the Pinochet group starts threatening his family and loved ones.
Oh, yeah.
But as you watch this, he's also, as he's, very good at what he does and, putting this thing together and understanding how to sell a product, even a political campaign, and being very successful at it, he's also starting to understand how dangerous that power really can be. There's a sequence towards the end as he's watching, what he's wrought that, like, even though it's probably the best possible thing, he's just looks shell-shocked. He's just like, I don't you know,
what have I done?
what have I done? It's like quoting Oppenheimer or something.
I tell you, one of the things I found interesting about this film, something I didn't really know or think about, because you go like, well, Pinochet's so evil, why would anybody vote yes? But it does give you something of the backstory. Is like, before Pinochet came to power, Chile was such a poor country. It was like Russia with bread lines.
Yeah.
So you can see where the Yes campaign was like, look, you know, this guy did bring us out of this. It's just the like, sure, we have order, but at what price?
Yeah.
It's that question that comes up where it's like, no, vote no.
It's true the trains run on time, but, that being said, you're lucky if you'll actually go on the train and everyone will ever see you again after that.
Yes. It's a fascinating story, and they use a technique of aging the film, deteriorating it to make it look like it was made, like the whole film looks like it was made in the 70s, so much that when they show footage of the actual commercials, sometimes it's hard to tell that it's just footage from the actual commercials and not some new stuff they've done.
In fact, it wasn't even artificially aged. He really used low definition 3/4 inch Sony U-Matic magnetic tape, which was what was used by television news in Chile in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, it wasn't even artificially aged. It has that look. And you're right. It's one of those things that like, well, you get what he's doing, this whole fusion of like reality and fantasy that's happening here, like, you know, between the fantasy of this advertising and the reality of what's happening where it blends. At points, it's so discombobulating when there's a changeover that you're like almost angry for a second.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell. But I can't really be for real angry about it because that's what the film was actually trying to accomplish.
Sure.
I mean, you
should
be somewhat angry, but not in the way you usually expect to be in this type of story.
Right.
Great performances across the board. Like I said, I mean, I think everyone's good in here. Gael Garcia Bernal is terrific. He's got this odd relationship with his ex-wife.
Yeah.
That is like, it floats around the center of the plot, but it never really has anything to do with anything. But I think it humanizes him in a really necessary way.
Well, not only that, but she's somebody who's constantly protesting, getting thrown in jail, and he's bailing her out. He's got custody of their son. He wants to get back together with her. She seems like she's kind of wild, but as he's coming from his advertising background, she's almost like that voice in his ear that goes, "The fuck are you doing? This is bubblegum. Don't not take this seriously."
Yeah.
This is important. I mean, it's nice that you're throwing rainbows and brightly colored tennis shoes and everybody having fun, but keep in mind what's at stake here.
I love that there is a point in this where, I mean, basically they know that they've succeeded. I mean, this is history, so I'm not spoiling anything. And the movie starts with kind of what happened. But he's looking around for everyone to be thankful to him. He's the guy who made this happen, and no one will even make eye contact with him. No one, like, even wants to look at him. And it's just so very telling, the sort of like, what we did was kind of wrong. It was manipulative as hell. It had nothing to do with the actual issues. And we won because of it. And where like that beats out everything, but I don't want to think about this guy anymore.
Well, and you also have the character of his boss, who is first like, "Are you going to work for them?" He said, "I'm just consultant. I'm not really working for him." And this is a character who you can't really tell where his alignment is, because he does work he works the other side and even steals the idea to try to manipulate it for their side.
Yeah, really
unsuccessfully in a poor way. But then he comes back and helps him out when he needs. And I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Now, something I didn't like was the translation that went on here.
Yeah.
For the dialogue, especially with like the boss character, everything was man this, man. He ended everything. And I'm wondering, like, is that really what was in the script, or is just the translator throwing this in for some color?
Everybody in Chile said man a lot at that time.
I mean, granted, it was, that time period, but,
I was lucky it was
excessive.
It's lucky it wasn't 10 years later, because it would have been all dudes.
True.
Dude, what you doing, dude? No, dude. No, dude. Seriously, no, dude. Just no.
Yeah.
No. I said no, not yeah. Aren't you listening to me, Leon?
No.
That's right, I guess. I think this is a really smart film. I think it has limited commercial appeal, to be sure, because of the way it looks. I mean, it looks crappy, as it's supposed to.
Sure.
It's got really, really shitty old style film, and it's kind of a strain watching it at points. As well, it's a slow moving story.
It is. There were times when it felt like it could pick up and move things along. And, it's almost like, man, maybe I shouldn't have seen Argo, because I'm watching it and I'm thinking like, this is good.
But imagine what it would have been if Ben Affleck
had directed it. It would have been awesome.
I can't say I didn't think the same thing at points. Maybe not specifically Argo, but that type of thing. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, this could have really gained.
Get Aaron Sorkin in here to rewrite it.
All these Chileans walking past each other quickly in hallways, having very elaborate, loquacious conversations. Yeah, that actually does sound pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
No, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a remake of this using in a much more American style. To be sure, it's an interesting story, and it's one of the ones. I have a feeling if America did it, it would probably be a good movie, but funny, more slanted towards being funny. I mean, there's certainly, you could see how someone could have made this into a comedy quite easily. And I wonder if that wouldn't be inappropriate. But it's hard to say. I mean,
it is hard to say.
Even as much as I'm talking about like how they're like in doubts about the marketing and like feeling evil for using this type of marketing, I'm not even willing to condemn that kind of marketing. I'm not saying this. I'm saying this is what the movie's saying. And it raises interesting points, but it's not a slam dunk in its message.
Right. I think even with that message that you're seeing there, it's not relying heavily on it. It's more about the seriousness of what was at stake.
Yeah.
Had it been that American movie, it probably would have focused more on the absurdity of the situation.
Yeah, very true. And it is an absurd situation. You don't need, extra comedic sketch comedy bits to let you know how just strange this all really is. That this actually happened. I mean, they're showing the original archival footage at the points where they're doing this, which is neat. Like, there'll be points where you see the actor, like they're playing, the opposing, character who's supposed to be the guy who's running against Pinochet, and then it switches to the footage and it's the real guy.
Right.
And so it's like, you realize, no, this is actually what went on the air as these commercials that they were allowed to run. You're like, it is kind of baffling, but at the same time, even I wonder how much American media took a clue and politics took a clue from that, because really there's, President Clinton went on Saturday Night Live and played the saxophone,
Yeah.
That type of thing happening, being the more like, we need to humanize these guys. We need to appeal to the element that doesn't give a shit about politics.
Right.
It's one of those things. It's good if you're on the team who wants your guy to win. And it's arguably bad if you say, like, we're running a campaign based on nothing to do with the actual, things this campaign should be about. And has that escalated and snowballed? Oh, yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't know when this movie was released, but it should have gotten a wide release over here, like last October.
Yeah, no, it really should have. Even if we're not going to learn as much about the issues as maybe we should, because everybody's so goddamn apathetic about what the truth is, we need to realize that they've started running a popularity contest.
Oh, yeah.
And not a proper election, as it were. On some level, this film probably is aware of that and wants to speak to American audiences. But more than anything, this is a film by Chileans for Chileans. Mm-hmm. And it is very well done for what it is. Once again, like I said, I don't think it maybe resonated as strongly in me as it probably would be from someone from Chile. In fact, there was some amount of controversy about it as well, with the guy who actually, directed the No campaign said, that the film simplified history and chose footage, directly from that one television advertising campaign, and that there was a whole grassroots effort that was going on that was very political that they feel was a huge part of it as well.
Yeah.
But maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it would have to be, but that's what films do.
Yeah. No, this is, it's trying to be art. If they wanted to make a documentary, they would have made a documentary.
True.
As I'm stealing from Wikipedia, but that's absolutely true. And as it is, it's not perfect, but it is pretty entertaining, and it will make you think quite a bit, especially if you take the context and bring it here, which you should.
So what would you give it?
I would give it a high matinee.
Okay. I was wondering where you were going to fall on it.
Yeah, because you want to be stoned when you see it. No, I'm kidding. Just the regular high matinee. Not the...
I think I'm going to give it just a regular matinee, and outside of what I told you, I don't have any big reason this was a flaw, this was a flaw. It was just that when I came out of it, I was glad I saw it, but I wasn't charged about it. Like, man, want to tell people hey, you got to go see this.
Yeah.
But should it come your way and you have the time, I think you'd like it. You certainly learn something, and it's interesting.
I tell you what, I did come out of this film with a strong feeling, though, for sure. And I'm glad I live in Texas, quite frankly, because I went out and got a big bowl of chili as soon as this was over.
Stop it. It's not even spelled the same way.
Close enough.
Chile, la alegría ya viene.